much for coming. This is our 6th town hall to discuss the proposed 2026 1-cent sales and use tax that will fund the revitalization and economic development of our city, and we are simply calling that Revive the Bluff. So this is our Revive the Bluff effort behind that tax, and I am happy to be in front of you. I want to spend just a little bit, and it gets less and less time, you all, so we'll see if I can do a record and not spend too much time on the handouts. But I do want to offer some context and share some information that'll, I think, inform you before we get to the tax information about why we're doing this and why we think people should trust us to do it, but more than anything, why we need to really help ourselves, save ourselves, and invest in ourselves. So I will start with this item. This is the 8.5 by 14 sheet entitled Mayor's Pine Bluff Progress Report. And this outlines the people's plan for the City of Progress recommendations. If you all remember, shortly after I was sworn in, we began an effort to bring leaders, residents from across the community to serve on several committees around ensuring that we have the smoothest transition, not just from one administration to the next, but really moving into a period of change, which I'm certain is what people voted for. The committees that were set up were Budget and Finance, Economic Development and Infrastructure, Education and Workforce, Faith and Community Engagement, Government Transformation, Public Safety, Senior Outreach and Advocacy, Social Impact and Sustainability, Tourism and Nature, and Youth Investment. And under all of those headings are listed the recommendations that came from those committees of residents who engaged the city in town hall meetings, focus groups, surveys, and then met among themselves to come up with what they wanted city government to know that they expected us to work on, and we have been working on those things. So in addition to the list of recommendations, those items highlighted in red are the items that have either happened or we are in solid progress of making those items happen. And we felt that that was important for you to know so that you could understand that we are not only engaged in activity every day in the day-to-day, but also envisioning not just on the agenda I came in with or the things that we respond and sometimes react to every day, but we are solidly focused on the things that the people said they wanted to see based upon that process. Now, the other thing that we felt it important to share is this little pamphlet right here. And inside you will see a table as well as a graph of information that shares, how we receive funding in the city that supports the city, and also how we spend that money in terms of expenses. So we have a revenue side on the left and an expenses side on the right. And a lot of people vote or go to work every day and live their best lives in Pine Bluff, expecting elected officials and expecting our leadership in all of the departments and all who serve on the commissions to just do our jobs so that life can be smooth and easy. And therefore, even people who are involved in the electoral process, people who've worked on campaigns, and I've talked to many of them, have no idea what our budget is, have no idea how we receive all of our funds, exactly what we spend money on, what proportion we spend on what, nor are they aware, and I wasn't until I came into office, of what our debt looks like. So that's on the back page. So let's start inside though, and just briefly, you'll see that our budget is based upon, it's $46,608,516, and that's the 2024 budget, okay? And the revenue that you see listed is $48,304,082. Now, a little piece of information that's important to share is you won't see the reserves, you won't see other funds and dollars that are not included in what's called the general fund. So this is based upon the general fund. There are several independent commissions and entities that are not included in this budget, but runs on city dollars. Wastewater, for example, is not under my office, but it runs on city dollars. Urban renewal, even though it's no longer funded because the 2017 tax was not renewed, all of the dollars that were spent through urban renewal came from the additional sales tax. So I gave you a couple of examples of how, whether it's an additional sales tax or the money that we're already getting from our, I would call general revenues, it's still city money, it's still your money. So in 2023, we had a deficit of $200,000. In the last couple of years, 2024, 2025, and those budgets were passed in the previous year, that previous December. Those budgets were at a $2 million deficit. Now, you may say, well, how are we running at a deficit? Well, we are operating in a surplus because we have had extremely large carryover. The carryover happens when you're budgeted a certain amount, and in that year, you don't spend that money for whatever reason. So I've talked a lot about the police department. We had numerous positions before we actually filled those positions this year that were budgeted because we didn't want to get rid of the positions in case we could recruit and fill those positions like we did this year. So when the money wasn't spent, that went into the carryover. So that's why we have always operated on a balanced budget or at a surplus. However, people were very clear that they wanted to see a larger police presence. They wanted to get more service from the police and for police to show up. And we knew, and I talked about it, that we were operating really at the lowest level in a long time. The police and the leadership in the department were not comfortable with where we were operating from, and that was about 75 full-time uniformed officers, and and the public wasn't. And so we have been operating at about 75 versus 100. So right now we're at 97 and we expect to be at 100 by the end of the year. But that means that we are funding those positions. That means that will not be left in carryover. That means the budget is tighter. So that's an important thing to understand. Now, we didn't fill all of them, but we won't have the huge cushion. We're gonna have a little bitty cushion this time, okay? Hopefully. And there are other things that's important to understand. If you look at the back and look at our debt, the bond issues we've had for a long time. We've had since Mayor Vivian's administration. And we had the penny for progress. That was not sunsetted. So that is a forever or a tax in perpetuity. And a lot of the things that were purchased with those dollars, we're still paying for, including the aquatic center. Now, we ended up having to raise private funds, but the bottom line is our bond issues, which means our bond debt, our long-term debt, $16,467,581. And then what's called Amendment 78, basically allowing the city to go into short-term leases, short-term loans. You see that all of that was secured and voted on by the council last year in 2024, and in the middle to the latter part of the year. So we entered into 8 agreements. 6 of them were leases. One was at the top for a fire truck that we ordered about 3 years ago. And the last item was to support and finish the hotel. The other thing you'll note is in those agreements, while we have an A1 credit rating and the bond rates above are pretty low, all of these except the ladder truck and the hotel, which are okay interest rates, the rest of them were extremely high. 7% to 28.11%. And we did look at paying this off, maybe with reserves, and then paying ourselves so that we could earn that interest back. But these agreements don't allow that. So we just have to pay it off, and in 5 years, we will have paid it off. But in the meantime, that is additional expense in our budget that we did not have last year. Okay, and then we have this item right here. This is really a list of frequently asked questions. They are based on questions and comments that I have literally gotten as I have been talking all year about this proposal to people. And it starts very simply highlighting our priorities, and it's priorities that I ran on, it's priorities that we lead from. Everything we do is focused on one of these 3 things. Number 1, youth investment. Number 2, economic development with a specific focus on infrastructure and tourism. And number 3, we are focused on public safety. And if you will look down below where we're trying to answer the question about more specifics.
Where are you? I'm sorry.
Okay, frequently asked questions. Did you get one of these?
Right.
Look behind your long sheet. Okay, so that was that first. I just spoke broadly on So the Roman numeral 2, it outlines a little bit more specifically those areas where we would spend the dollars. And we will provide, which would be contained in the resolution, more specifics, ballpark numbers for what some of these things would cost. But we wanted to answer the simple question, what would you spend this money on? And this is not an exhaustive list, but it's very clear that there are 8 categories that we are looking to serve as sort of buckets for areas of expenditure. Number 1 would be economic development, 2, housing and blight eradication, 3, municipal capital improvements and equipment, 4, public works, 5, public safety, 6, tourism, development and promotion, 7, transportation, 8, youth and senior programs. And we offer some examples of what would fit within the parameters of those categories. For example, anybody who went to any of the town hall meetings during the election, you did not go to one and didn't hear about potholes. And Council Member Mays, who is here this evening, Council Member for Ward 4, has talked a great deal about the condition of our streets. I think for the duration of the time that he's been a member of the City Council, we have dealt with issues around our streets. And in that time, and prior to, we have gone from a fully staffed, fully funded street department to one that is staffed by about half the number of personnel and half the budget, but the same area of streets. So, you know, we've been doing what we can and the best we can with what we have, but we need more. One of the things that we are doing now with funding is ensuring that we address the pothole issue. And we're doing it with a newer technology instead of the cold mix, the hot mix. And we're not only engaged in a contract with a firm that is filling those potholes, and until recently where they couldn't get the material, the hot mix, they have bought additional equipment. I talked to them the other day, so that they can basically recycle the materials to best provide the or to best work with the equipment, to best work with the equipment that we need to do what's called these burns, to press areas and fill areas that might address more than one pothole. And so that's why the equipment is expensive, but it works better than the traditional manner in which we have addressed the potholes. We did the contract for 80 burns per ward. We made it through 2 of the wards, I believe 2 and 4. Halfway through 3, there was a problem getting the hot mix. We anticipate that not only with our own machine, but continuing to work with a third party, we'll be able to do more over time in the near future. That's an example. Athletic programs, STEM programs, we're already doing that through Boys and Girls Club, through TOPS, through Yeah 8. We would want to expand those programs, but also partner with faith-based organizations and nonprofits so that we can provide really after-school programs, athletic programs, academic enrichment programs in the communities and neighborhoods of young people in every ward. So that is something that we would do. We would restore the senior centers that were closed in the last several years on the west side and on the south side, and also look to ensure that there was access to one on the north side. And we would do that in partnership with the Area Agency on Aging, so that they would support it while we would build it. You know, repairing our port is something that would, excuse me, provide jobs, so that we wouldn't need this tax in the future. We would not only be repairing and expanding our infrastructure, but we would also be more attractive to industry at a time where it would serve our interest and really the region's interest to, for example, partner with the Little Rock Port Authority, who's been very successful under the leadership of Mayor Scott to do exactly what we would be doing with these dollars, and that's repairing and expanding our port. And so there are other things that are listed here. On the back, I think it's important to note a few things that really have come up, I think, on social media. And like I said, these are questions or points that were made in conversation. How much revenue would this temporary 1-cent sales tax generate? It's important to note that it's temporary. It would serve for 10 years and it would sunset after 10 years. Over that term, we would generate anywhere from $9.1 to $14.3 million a year. And people have asked, you know, don't we have one of the highest sales tax rates in the state? According to the data from Department of Finance with the state, we absolutely do not have the highest sales tax rate. Out of 357 cities addressing and collecting sales taxes, Pine Bluff ranks number
I just spoke
205.
on
And then as the state's 10 largest city, if you just limit assessment of where we stand with our sales tax in comparison to the other 9 cities that comprise the 10 largest, we're the 10th. We actually rank number 3 with the lowest tax rate out of the 10 largest cities right now. So the other thing that people need to be aware of, when you buy something and you see, 9+%, what you're seeing is 6.5 of that going to the state. And then 1.25 of that going to the county. So that's almost 8% going to the county. And then we get 1.625 of that for the city. With an additional 1 cent, we would get 2.625, with 1 cent going to the fund to specifically focus on those areas that the resolution would dictate that we do. Can't the city of Pine Bluff grow, make repairs, and meet city needs with current revenues? Very simply, no. I think that I mentioned earlier, where we are with our budget. There is no way that, and I've been listening. People have been very clear. Fix the potholes. Use the street department to apply overlay on our busiest streets. Provide some things for our kids to do. Clean up our parks, clean up our streets, get rid of the dumping, get rid of the blight, the burned out houses that the city owns and that private residents own and commercial investors own. But not only get rid of the blight, develop in those areas. Develop our downtown finally. Those things cannot be done without funding. Period. And there's not enough carryover to do that with. We're not going to do that with leftover money that we didn't spend on positions. It's going to be significant money. It's going to be what you heard. If we did overlay projects for every street, every area, built sidewalks, even with grant funds, we wouldn't have enough money just for that from this tax. And if you look at what is happening right now with cities trying to compete, trying to attract people, trying to keep people, trying to grow jobs, they are doing that by either private investment, which we do not have the luxury of. You pretty much see that private investment happening in Northwest Arkansas. It's not going to happen here. It doesn't even happen in Little Rock. They've been trying to get a tax. There are 15 cities and counties that will have a measure for a sales tax, for an economic development sales tax on the ballot next year. Conway just passed one focused on public safety. I'm sorry, 2. So we're not trying to do something that other cities aren't doing, and the other cities that are doing it are already ahead of us in terms of economic growth, in terms of jobs, in terms of population growth. So what we're proposing is going to help catch us up. This isn't even something that would necessarily put us ahead of the 9 other cities that are in front of us in those areas. Some of the other questions or points address the process, address the timing, but also I think what is important to note is something that came up when we held the press conference last week. Trust, transparency, and accountability. I would say I have served for over a decade in public office and have been working in public policy and politics for almost 30 years. And I have been a woman of my word. I have done my best to always do what I say I'm gonna do. Now, I may be late sometimes, but I'm gonna get it done. If I can't get it done, I'm gonna tell you I can't get it done, and this is why. We have to come together, because this is not a Vivian Flowers tax. This is a measure to raise funding to grow our city. It's as simple as that. We continue to lose about 1,000 people a year. We're not going to come back from that. We're not going to grow the population if we don't address public safety, if we don't address economic development, and if we don't find a way to provide opportunities so that our young people can be self-sufficient and that this can be a place where they will stay because there are opportunities. I think with that, I'm going to stop, and I would love to answer your questions and for us to have an intimate conversation about what you want to see and whether or not you support, if you're thinking about it, how you can support, but let's talk.
I'll start.
If we could, council member, if we could give the people an opportunity to ask questions, and then toward the end, I think I would love for both of us. Yes, but, well, absolutely you should, but we're going to start with the people first, and then I would love to ask you to make some remarks toward the end. So, the people, questions, comments.
All right, good evening. My name is Bernard Waybu. I stay here in Ward 4. I had a couple of questions, I guess comments or dialogue we're gonna make for it. First off, with the anti-blight situation that you have posted, what does that look like for Ward 4?
What it looks like for Ward 4 is what it looks like for Wards 1, 2, and 3 as well. So this will not be targeting one area and not another. First of all, I want to make that point. What it would look like is using our own city resources, equipment, personnel, as well as third-party resources to get rid of the burned out houses. We've actually been doing that so that we can get a sense of timing and cost, so that we can start to pilot no matter what happens. But I can tell you, just in the last 2 months, we have been able to tear down 4 houses. Can anyone guess? And it would be a guess because we don't have a solid number that outlines every structure that needs to be demolished. But can anyone guess what the ballpark is that I was told when I came in?
To demolish your house?
No, not the cost, how many structures that we need to demolish.
10%.
It's not a percentage, a number.
2,500.
Not, well,
80
not that much.
80 per ward.
Over 500 structures, and I've also been given an estimate over 600 structures. Now, we're not talking about just structures that no one's living in. We're talking about structures that need to be demolished. And so when you think about how you might drive around and see too many structures where they've been burned, and a lot of that burning, a lot of these structures that are set on fire happens because they have been abandoned. It might be air property. Whatever the case is, if there is no one living in the structure, it's more likely to be inhabited by people who are squatting, people who are homeless, people who have substance abuse problems, people who come in that house and cook meth, people who come in that house and live and during the wintertime set a fire inside the house to stay warm and sets it on fire. All of that has happened. So to answer your question though, we would use local resources, third-party resources, and also, and it's two early to get into the nuts and bolts of it, but we would also expand our own infrastructure to make it less expensive for property owners and for the city to dispose of the waste as a result of the demolition, and to basically to get that work done. We're trying to structure things so that we can be able to get as much help as we can from third-party sources while we use our own infrastructure as well. And that is important for timing, because we could do it on our own and spend the next several years and make a dent. Or we could construct a plan so that we can do as many as we can in the next 2 to 3 years. And then thereafter, it would be maintenance. It would be the city that would be able to maintain and address issues that come up after we deal with the larger problem.
Okay. So
Yes.
I have, and thank you for that.
Yes.
I have probably 2 more questions. It won't take that long.
No, go ahead. Take
So the next thing that I wanted to address, you said that pretty much you're trying to revitalize the area and bring things back to normal. I see around the town that you guys have started placing up nice welcome to Pine Bluff signs that look amazing. And I can only speak for Ward 4 because that's where I stay at. But I feel as if Ward 4 deserves something like that, you know, coming into the city, because we have one of the most visible freeways or entrances into the city, and yet we don't have anything here to really just represent the university, to really represent, you know, we are Pine Bluff. You coming into Pine Bluff, we want something nice, you know, to make sure that, you know, we're not just in the Blight area. We want our area to be represented, you know, really well. We want our borders and our flower beds to look nice as well. So is there anything in the works to possibly getting one of those welcome to Pine Bluff signs placed right there on Martha Mitchell entering into the city?
So, first of all, let me say that the signage that you see at different entry points in the city happened in the previous administration.
Mm-hmm.
And we do want to build on that. Now, there is one coming off of Highway 65 into the city right when you see the stadium. So around that area, there is one. Could there be another one? There could be one coming off of 65 coming onto University, but there also is a huge welcome and signage for UAPB. Now, the bottom line is, whether you're talking about signage, whether you're talking about mowing and landscape, whether you're talking about flower beds, hardscapes, all of that for sure needs to be done, and there need to be updates. But all of that costs money.
Right.
And that is absolutely when it comes to beautification, and I think on that handout, the Revive the Bluff, on Roman numeral 2, the third from the bottom bullet, city cleanup and beautification through landscaping and hardscape projects, development of a citywide mural park, and other public art. So we are absolutely focused on that. If there are top 5 issues that I hear most from people, it is about cleaning up our city. And I think that, you know, parks, we've endeavored to do that, you know, whether it's through the completion of the streetscapes on Main Street. We're finishing up actually the landscaping in that area, and have finished up the street construction. Our parks, they have done amazing work to better manicure our parks this past summer, and we're looking to do more of that. But that to me is basic. Mowing, edging, weeding, planting, you know, annuals according to season. I think that what we could do, and what we have done in the past, has been much bigger. If you look at the murals downtown, and we need to restore some of those and add to that. Public art that you see in other cities, all of those things, and not just on Main Street, is absolutely what we need to do while we upgrade our parks. And I think that the project that was recently completed from the previous tax, the 6th and Main, which is now Simmons Bank Park, it's beautiful. But guess what? Even with that, it needs to be maintained. It's gonna need to be maintained, upgraded in the coming years. And if we don't do that, we will lose it. Just according to how that arrangement and the funding and the partnership was structured. If we don't manage it and manage it right, the investment we made just in that corner, we could lose it. And so I'm committed to making sure that that doesn't happen. I think we had another one or two questions.
Yeah, what you just said.
There's another sign in Jefferson Parkway coming in before.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's a total of three or four. There are four. And we have recently been actually requested to build another one. So the answer to your question is yes.
Gotcha. I've seen those signs all over the town. I was more specifically speaking more on the Blake side of town, not north,
Yes,
not more
okay,
into
I hear you.
the middle. But just going on or whatever, on the tourism and nature side, you said improving the search engine results of Googling for Pine Bluff. The first thing that I could suggest or ask, is there a possibility to take down the jail log for the city? Because more people are focused in on who's incarcerated versus who's actually living here and actually trying to provide, some type of positivity towards the city. This is just something that people wake up and literally do every single morning to check the jail log. And I don't necessarily see how that could possibly be something that could be of a benefit when no other city around us does that. Even in Sheridan, they don't even do, the automatic, once you get arrested, they're gonna put you online. I think that that's just something that has been stigmatized for Pine Bluff to show that we
I think you're
have.
absolutely right.
Okay.
And I will ask, I don't know how that is managed, how that is funded, who does it, but I will definitely inquire, and I thank you for that recommendation. You are absolutely right.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. That and as well as whoever is running the Pine Bluff Police Facebook page. I think that they need to be a little bit more professional if they want people to take them seriously as an agency here in the city. The back and forth between the comments, a lot of the dialogue that they have, a lot of the post and engagement that they use is almost antagonizing at points to where they want people to draw into the negativity just so that they can have the engagement. So if we really want to be able to take the police department seriously, those two things are integral for us to be able to act as citizens. A lot of times we kind of fall into that stigma of, you treat them like this or you act like this or you get treated like that. And Pine Bluff has stellar students, stellar kids, stellar adults, stellar families.
Yes.
And I feel as if we keep perpetuating the jail logs that get posted every day, or who's doing this or who's doing that or whatever, it kind of feeds into that we have nothing here going on but negativity.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'll say this, I should know more about what you're talking about. And I hate to say this, I'm online to post my stuff or to look at news. Only time I've ever been to the jail log is when somebody hit me from behind in a car accident a few years ago.
Yes.
And that person was caught, and I wanted to see if he was in jail. And he hit us on purpose, by the way, because it wasn't just an accident.
Yes.
So I totally agree with you on that. I think that the jail log for sure is a point, and you said something else too, the jail log. And our Facebook page by the police. And I don't really go on that. I've heard people comment about it, and but I will definitely pay attention and definitely have a conversation with Chief. I think you make an excellent point, and I thank you for that. Yes.
Nathaniel Baker, you stated that it was 15 other counties and cities who have the tax proposed, some type of tax on the ballot, or have already won. Do you know what cities and counties that was, and has there been any communication with those counties and cities to see how they're doing or what they're planning on doing?
So that was based on an article that my communications coordinator out of my office shared with me. And actually somebody had shared another article with me. So I didn't even talk about that, but what we will do is post those and share those and add that to the frequently asked questions, because I think that's a really good question.
Okay. One more thing. You're asking us for 90 million to 120 million, right? You said over the course of a year it pays 9 to 12 million, correct? So, and it sunsets in 10 years, correct?
Correct.
So I assume that's 90 to 120 million. Is there any specific projects that we should be able to look and say, okay, we pay, this is worth the investment?
Absolutely. So I shared the bullets because there really are a lot of projects and a lot of things that we need to fund to support what we're already doing. But those items that are listed in the bullets are examples of exactly, not even examples, those are priority projects under the categories that have been set. But I wouldn't limit it to that. And one of the things that we will do as we continue in this process, in this campaign, and in this legislative process is to illuminate with more specificity. This has been so much information, and some people have said, "Oh, that's good information, thank you." Others have said, "I want numbers," and then others have said, "You go too long." And so it's really trying to find a balance. This is just a beginning point, and I think that's something that I would like to share is we are at a point now where what we are doing, there are two ordinances. One is the ordinance for the tax, which, by the way, when I talked about transparency and accountability, it would include throughout that 10-year period, every 2 years there would be a forensic audit. We believe that would help us take a look back to make sure we're spending it right, that it's transparent, it's specific, and it's comprehensive. And so we believe that would be necessary to maintain the people's trust and confidence that what we said we were going to do, we are doing. But going back to the process, right now, I'm putting this information out there as best I can so that the people can talk to their council members to say, hey, I want to hear more. Because where we are now is mid-December, there will be a vote by the city council to put it on the ballot. Putting it on the ballot does not mean that the tax passes. Putting it on the ballot means in March, when we vote in other races, you will have an opportunity to say yes or no. Now I'm doing everything I can to make sure that you have a choice.
So
Yes.
I will follow that up with, basically, we're running short on funds, am I correct?
Let me say this. Yes. So yes is the short answer. We are not short yet.
Yes.
So I want to be very clear that we are not short yet. And people often ask, well, what about all those casino dollars? We get about $5 million. This year, it's gone up to 5.4. Last year was $5 million.
Well,
Before
can I ask you a question?
okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It started out with just 100,000 in 2018. Then it went up and went up, but bottom line is we've only seen money in the millions in the last 4 years. That, as it has grown, we have declined. And the casino dollars were not targeted for a particular fund. It's in our main checking account. That's the bet. Our general fund is our, all of you might have, I mean, some of y'all are rich, I know, so you might have more than one checking account. But, no, I'm just being funny. But the bottom line is most people have one checking account. You may have others if you pay a payroll or whatever, but you have usually a primary checking account that you use to pay your bills. That's how the city operates too. And those casino dollars go into our primary checking account, our general fund. So there is no way to answer that by saying, well, we spent the money on this. What I can say is over time, as we continue to decline and therefore our tax base has lowered, a few more businesses have left, a few more people have left, that has meant fewer dollars have come in. Because if you look at our revenue, a little less than half of the dollars that we bring in to the city every year to pay for the day-to-day comes from that 1.625 sales tax. So when there are fewer people here buying stuff, and then you saw a significant proportion of, less significant, but a significant proportion comes from property tax. So when you pay a property tax to the county, a small percentage of that goes to the city. So if you have fewer and fewer people not living here, not paying property taxes, not paying sales taxes, that impacts on what we get every year. So what has kept us from going under, according to how we've lost people, lost businesses, lost revenue, has been the slow creep of the additional revenue from the casino, while we have also paid our personnel more. We had extremely low salaries. We are still not competitive, but we're not horrifically low anymore. So those increases, coupled with the decline, balanced out the money we got from the casino. Yes.
So one more question and I'm done. With the casino adding the hotel, so would we see an improvement, or not improvement, income increase with their revenue coming from the hotel? Is there any projection, or has there been any communication with the casino?
Yes.
Because the more, as the hotel comes, they'll have more revenue and we'll receive more. Is there any projection on how much the revenue would increase with that?
Not yet. And it's not what you would think, because a lion's share of the money that we're going to see is going to go to the A&P Commission, which they need desperately. So the hamburger tax, the money on food, that money is going to go to the A&P Commission. Now, we will get a sales tax on the hotel, and we can't really accurately project, but what we did project, like for our next budget, we're anticipating an additional $1 million in tax revenue. But don't forget, we have entered into more debt. We've lost another 1,000 people. So that goes up, and then some other areas has gone down. And so there's some balancing out right there. Now, best case scenario, we could see a significant rise, maybe $1 or $2 million more. Even if that's the case, that $1 or $2 million wouldn't even pay to resurface one of our main streets.
So basically, we finna be robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I'm not finna do that.
If we don't get it together.
Because what's gonna happen is we will have to
Start cutting.
lower our workforce. So the services that are already, that already need to be strengthened will be cut.
I got one more question, I promise
No,
you.
you don't be making, stop.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna tell you like I tell
I
Stop making promises to me you can't keep.
How has there been any communication from the private side about this tax?
Yes, and what you will see after, so this is our last town hall from the series that we started last week. And we intend to meet with clergy, but I have been meeting for months with people, and I actually have a very, very strong steering committee that's extremely diverse in every way. People who were for go forward, people who were against go forward, young people, seniors, millennials. We have a strong group of folks, and that is because people across all of those dimensions recognize that this city has great needs, and the needs don't have to outweigh our infrastructure and our promise and our potential. Yes, ma'am.
You talked about the senior center. Is the Coretta Scott King Center in Martin Luther King Park still open? And what's
Yes.
going on with the old softball complex that was?
So, Coretta Scott is open, and that is actually, an event center that's rented out.
It used to be a senior
But
center,
I-
like during the day, and then rented out on weekends.
It's rented out.
Okay,
it's
so
no
they don't
longer-
have any senior activity?
Correct. And then you asked about the softball complex.
Used to be softball complex, it's flat now. I was wondering what's that about?
In that area,
In Martin Luther King Park, yeah.
yeah. I know that there is a softball, not a softball, there's a soccer and football.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what we're doing with softball. Nothing? Okay. That could,
Softball is the one. So
now we also have the baseball, softball diamonds and region, but I don't know what upgrades that we have planned to make for softball at MLK.
basically, they're not there anymore. It's in
Hold
the
on.
soccer, yeah.
Yeah, so I think to answer your question regarding the old softball facility, right? So in the last administration, they they tore it down, basically did some work to transform it into a multi-use for soccer and football to kind of accommodate the
Okay,
youth league.
so that's what.
Mhm.
So I've only been updated and made aware, and that's kind of all I've seen. I went fishing out there, and then I go out there because that's where our maintenance for parks is headquartered. I really didn't see what you were talking about, but I didn't want to say it wasn't out there. So thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't tell that they had transformed it into anything. Looking at it, it looked like an empty ticket.
So sir, you in the back, and then.
Oh, she was first.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I have maybe 2 or 3 questions.
Have at it.
Okay, the first one is for the youth.
Yes.
We cater a lot to the adult side here in the city, and we don't have too much for students or kids to do there. So if this tax was not to be passed, what funds do we have allocated for to build?
You've heard me talk about budget. We don't have a lot of additional funds to allocate. What I have been doing is expanding our summer jobs program. We're looking at a partnerships with CR and UAPB, as well as partnerships with the schools. But those partnerships are first focused on making sure those campuses are safe, and then on internship programs. Really what we've been doing with our parks in terms of our agreement with, renewing our agreement with Boys and Girls, I can point to those things. Continuing our relationship with TOPS. All of those are, I think, successful programs where the people who lead them have a lot of passion, a lot of experience. But I would say that's not enough, and we don't have funds to make it enough. I think that we need additional funds to support what is already here in a more robust way, but also to support new programming throughout communities and neighborhoods in partnership with clergy and faith-based organizations along with nonprofits. That's the aim. And hold on, she had a couple more, and then I'm
Okay, and I have one more question. Given that the 1 cent is going away, so with,
what's going on?
it's a lot that the 1 cent is no longer going to be.
So that ended in September. So you're talking about the 2017
Yeah,
sales
I'm
using
talking
tax?
No, the 1 cent currency is going away.
Oh, the penny.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how would this affect this sales tax? Will it be rounded to 5 cents or will it stay 1 cent?
No, it would be 1 cent. So the way the taxes are collected, like if I'm a business, you come in, you buy something, I charge you sales tax. And what some businesses have been doing, they've been doing this rounding. I don't know how that's gonna play with people, but we don't have anything to do with that. Bottom line is, if you are a business and you have sold, $100 worth of merchandise and you owe 10% of that to the state to pay your sales taxes, then, you know, you would send that $10 to the state, and then the state's gonna send us our, in the case that this passes, 2.165?
625.
625, I'm sorry. Yeah. So then the state sends us there, so I mean, for us, it wouldn't have an effect because, you know, if I have that business and, you know, I took a penny less or paid more, let's say at the end of the day, out of my $100, I collected, you know, $995. I lost $5 from that. I still got to pay that $10 to the state, and the state is still going to send me, you know, my $2.65. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you for coming over to Dollar Way. I'm a resident.
Absolutely.
I'm a resident over here, and everybody in the Dollar Way area, I have talked with a lot of people over here, and everybody said it, we don't get represented over here.
Sure don't.
And that is the purpose of my wife saying she needs to get the hell out of Dollar Way. So I end up getting a place, but I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna stay in Dollar Way, but I've got a place out on 104. But I'm gonna have a dual residency. And the thing about it is, I don't see too many people from the Dollar Way area in here. You've got to represent. You got to come to these meetings. And number one, we've got to give you a chance to succeed.
Yes, sir.
The heck with all that old bull crap and you're not gonna do this, you're not gonna do that. Because if they're not in your, if a person that never did, you know, done what you're doing, they don't know. They don't know what's up. I've been a paint body man for over 45 years, and I don't know everything. I learned from scratch how to pull a dent out of a car. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So don't worry about the people who want you to fail. You just do you. And I think I'm going to vote for it. I'm going to vote for this. I'm just being honest about it. You're the first mayor I have seen come in Dollar Way. I promise you.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, this is my first time in Dollar Way.
I'm just being
I have
honest about
been
it.
here for another
I'm being honest
year.
about
I've
it.
been the same.
But I can tell you
And I go
I can
where
tell you
everybody-
somebody else
Yes, sir.
that I have called, and he came to my rescue about that big ravine. It's a ravine over here by the fire department, a big ravine.
Yes.
Over here by the fire department, it floods. It gets leaves in it, trash, couches in it and stuff. I've been trying to get the city to come over there and clean it out. My house is on the butt end of all the water that comes from Martha Mitchell, Ricks, and all over in those places. And this man right here, that man right there came over.
Call my name, Alderman Stephen Mays.
Alderman Stephen Mays, he know how I feel. That's why I'm talking this way.
Right.
Yes,
You
sir.
get frustrated. You get frustrated when people say, they just like car salesmen. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. Give you promises, and don't do a darn thing about it. Until they done sold a car. You understand what I'm saying? So, to me, you're not a salesman. You're not doing that.
Thank you.
And I respect that.
Thank you. Because if I'm selling something, I'm gonna want my commission.
Uh-oh, whoa, Lord.
So you're right. I'm not a salesman.
Let me check with the DA and see if I can get.
I'm not a salesman. I'm here for another purpose for sure. And I appreciate that. I will tell you that the representation you have is on that city council. The representation you will have the opportunity to represent your wishes, your best interests, and the opportunity for all of us to be successful. And I don't mean no harm. Let me say it like this. For anyone watching, posting, present, not present.
Yeah.
This measure not getting on the ballot is not gonna hurt me. My bank account's gonna be the same. My car's still gonna be paid for. My mortgage still gonna be paid.
There you go.
And I'm still gonna go to work every day and do my job.
There you go.
It's not gonna hurt me.
There you go.
Who it's gonna hurt are the residents, it's gonna hurt this city, and it's gonna hurt our children.
Amen.
Because for everyone that says You want something for the kids. You want the kids to have opportunity. You want the schools to be stronger. You want something for them to do. You want it to be safe. I'm doing my due diligence as your mayor, bringing you the information, giving you a solution. Because we can talk all day long
Yes, ma'am.
about the problems,
Yes, ma'am.
the history, what we used to be,
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes,
what we
ma'am.
don't have,
That-
what other people have.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a wonderful city. Most cities don't have rail, port, airport, and interstate.
And interstate.
We're the 10th largest city, so most people don't have more than 38,000, more than 37,500 people in it, working, living. People raising their kids,
Yes, ma'am.
good kids. What are we gonna do for our kids who are not on the jail law, which is most of them, almost all of them? What are we going to do to make sure when they graduate high school, they want to stay here?
Want to stay here instead of
Because
going
there's a
to
job for them. There's a wonderful apartment complex for them to live in. There's a house for them. They can take over their air property and want to be here. There's a movie theater for them to go to. What are we going to do? Because without pouring money into programming for them, making sure this place is safe, making sure we can have some lights around here,
Yes, ma'am.
all that costs money. So a no to this tax, and it is a tax, I'm not going to shy away from it, but it's a temporary tax to invest in our city. If you say no to it, that means right now you don't want to make the investments that the people say they want to see. For whatever reason. And I will respect that. But what I'm not going to do is stop making sure that you have the opportunity to cast a vote. I'm going to talk to every council member with details. We're going to have a public hearing. We're going to have a public hearing where you can come, express your support, ask your questions, make your statements. Nobody's hurting my feelings if this does not happen. I will not be successful because this didn't happen. I'm going to be a successful mayor because I am doing everything I can to inform and empower the people to do what we can to work together to make the city better. But if it gets on the ballot and the people say no, guess what I'm going to say? Yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Okay. We will do the best we can with what we have.
What we have.
But no one will ever say, I did not have a solution. I'm not working hard to make sure that I am accountable to you. No one will ever say that I'm not transparent, that I didn't give you the information, and that I didn't try. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I'm Ward 2,
Yes, ma'am.
and I couldn't find you because of the darkness over on Eaglewood. Edgewood, I'm sorry. And I looked around the house, texting everybody. Brown was having a special meeting out of town, Denton was out there. And so, where are you guys, where are you guys? So I had to come tonight to make sure I met.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. And August of 2017, I was asked to work with Neighbor Watch. That's Ward 2. Okay. I was immediately turned off by the flyers we had. And because it read, take back our city. It was a phrase I thought was not inviting the citizens to get involved. Okay. It's been revamped and worked on, but and I saw these signs posted all over. You were not mayor then, but on previous administration, but it's still. And I was promised 500 flyers in a 10 block by 10 block neighborhood watch. it's dwindled down to, I can't get 50 now a month. Okay, that's that. Other one is, I don't know if you remember Ruth Armstrong, Director of Boys Club in Little Rock, Arkansas. He passed away, and he said sweat equity is tenfold worth money that we can donate. So I have applied to the city. I can assist anyone just like any area. And I love to cut yards, I love to have trim and so forth. I've applied many times to help. I have to take a position, volunteer, if I have to take the position, if you get ready to put somebody in it, I can help them in any. I can assist anybody in any category, okay, that you need help with. Sweat equity. And I've seen that work in Kensington Place in Little Rock. Okay, sweat equity. I know you use it when we go out and clean the city. I've been with that, worked really great. But in any other thing that we do, like all the 600 houses that you come there and so forth, I'm a fantastic carpenter assistant. And I have people, I can give you a reference and they say, my boss will hire you anytime, any day, okay? So I can help. I can take it, but I can assist in anything you need assistance with. Okay? Home wellness consultant, building maintenance. Okay, the other one was, maybe watch the flyers. Other one was, I begged the neighborhood watch team to let the neighborhood watch coordinator report to you. Report to the mayor. Okay? I'd love for you to look into that. But aldermen, we have 8, right? Aldermen. And presidents, we have 8, right? 8 neighborhood watch presidents. Okay? So, I think it would be better if we could report to you. And that's it.
Thank you for that. And one real quick, how do you feel about neighborhood watch captains reporting to all of us at city council meeting? Maybe.
Oh, I mean, as long as I know you did it. Right now, it's one more thing with doing the police much better. You know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the police, and the police, you know? So it's something, it's a burden that they don't have to bear. I'm open to look at it from point of view. But their complaint was that, the complaint I heard, is that nobody came to the meetings. Even though they were putting the flyers out there. Okay? And I said, but we know, for a fact, I know, they raised my right hand and testified that we put the flyers out there. They had the opportunity. They knew when and where we were meeting. When we do that, like you said, we've done your job. We've done our job. But so we can't stop doing our job. That's right. Because they're not doing theirs. Okay, they're not coming. But and they really think that I had a conversation where we were going to stop. We tried to get involved before, and it would stay the course. So I'm really thankful for the fact that we stayed the course with the new watches. But I'm open to changing the language about take back our city. You know, I don't know what we go there, but when I read it, it's their city. We work for them, you know. And so how do we work that? I don't know. But I think you got to train. I came out of hospitals. I was in hospitals. And I came out and got involved. Okay, what's happening out here? Reporting this to the hospital. So, and reporting really serious of these, I think, the neighborhood watch reported to the mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay? And
You heard that, Mr. Proctor? Okay.
reporting to the mayor.
Thank you so much.
And I am very pleased with not Alderman Mays, Alderman Brown, Locke. So that's why I think That's, I said, yes, sir. See, we did the report to you.
Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mayor, I want to ask you, I have two things.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I'm a little amazed, my better half couldn't do it. But, we're very active. And we would never tell you we love Pine Bluff. We have concerns for Pine Bluff. And where there's a need, we do it. We don't do the talk, we do the walk. With that, are we looking at the borderline of a deficit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So can you say maybe, and you hadn't been in here 10 months and a
Correct.
half.
That's right.
So,
I mean, it's not
It's
my
not-
definition,
it's not
deficit
your-
in the making, but it's mine to own and do something with right now.
So
Yes, ma'am.
this come about before
Yes, ma'am.
you got in,
Correct.
what we looking at now.
That's right.
Okay, that's one thing. Now with the infrastructure, and you know, we are very into infrastructure.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
We very much that.
I have a story, but it's too long about my neighbors. But they very into the infrastructure and they do walk the walk. Yes.
They do, but
You do. Not just here in Pine Bluff. You got to get outside of Pine Bluff. And you got to do the work.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you come back in
there you go.
and you got to get them to listen. Don't just go vote for them. Vote for them and put fire up on them. And let them know that you're there. Now, with this on, and I won't be long, promise you. Because I tell you, Pine Bluff, it has a spot with us. Your neighborhood watch within every light pole. Now, I don't know for sure now, every 300 feet, there's a pole. That pole have had light. The kids broke it, someone shot it out.
That's right.
You can call energy. And energy would,
Yeah, light it back up.
energy will come out
And fix it.
and put that light in. You can have the whole city, before she get to where she going, it can be lit up. And we know that because we had our community lit up.
Now who pays it?
Well, I guess the city of Pine Bluff, but we just.
Attached to someone, a resident?
No,
It's two different kind of lights.
two different kind of lights. You can, well, I didn't bring, call the street department, excuse me, man.
Yes, ma'am.
Call the street department. You got a couple of steps to do, but the street department will give you a number, and you call them. Now, this is something can come off the mayor's back.
That's right.
The citizen
Should be
Right.
can do this themselves.
That's right.
We have quite a few hour lights out there because we monitor. And as we see them out, we call,
They come.
and they come out and put the bulb in.
Yep.
And Pine Bluff can be lit up.
That's right.
Better, but it ain't gonna be lit.
Ain't nobody, cause the lights is.
Because we do need more, and there are a lot of areas in the city that don't have poles, and you have different kinds of lights,
Right.
some of which illuminate more than others.
LED.
Now, it's one more thing I would like to say. In your infrastructure, I was looking for flooding.
So, yes, let me let you finish and then
All
I'll.
right. Now with that, we have a Harding drainage that runs from Blake all the way across Pine Bluff. Now with that, a large percentage of people here in Pine Bluff, all the way across, coming out, going all the way across, they own property. We pay taxes for that hard drainage. Now, the county clerk collects the money. And what I'm asking you, it's in Jefferson County's house, it's in your house. With that, from 2004 to 23, over $350,000 have been collected. And having a limb being cut out, hard and drainage, that tax is special for hard and drainage, for curves, getting all vegetation out, and what have you. Now, well, this is, I'm so sorry with this.
No, we need to talk about it.
With this, you have, well, we pay this, everyone that owns property along hard drainage, we pay taxes. We are one of the taxpayers. We pay these taxes. But in 2022, you had September 22, you had Pine Bluff Community Development Director said that he was having a study done. So from this 3-4 progressive tax card readers put in, is so much of that tax supposed to be going for that. They done a study, or was supposed to, from a company out of Conway. It was going to cost $68,000. Now, I would like to see where you and the judge, your MPO, Southeast Metropolitan Planning, all the aldermen, you all need to have a talk and see where this money is going and get hardened drainage cleaned out. Because this is where a lot of the, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. Because we have a lot of drainage all over Pine Bluff. It's running into hardened drainage. This is what those dollars are for. Now, the reason I come back to you and say that, because of when doing the research, it says the hardened district in Pine Bluff, it was originally developed by the Corps of Engineers some years back to provide flood control. The district is governed by the city of Pine Bluff and Jefferson County, with jurisdiction shared between them. The Southeast Arkansas Regional Planning also plays a role in planning, technical service, and related drainage. So now if you can take the $68,000 and you're gonna hire a company to study, we got pictures all over of trees in the ditch.
That's an everything.
With that, now it says the judge, it's a district, is governed by a board of commissioners, which is appointed by the jury. But this is in your house, So you all, to help us with this flooding, somewhere somebody needs to come grip with this.
You know, I think the last time I was at your house. We talked about this.
Yes.
And it appears that this is something that's done through the county, but we can do exactly what you're saying and find out what the balance of the money is, what's been
Yes.
spent. We can do that.
And you know, it doesn't only cover Pine Bluff. Well, it covers 1,000.
Does it cover the whole,
It's 1,600 miles, acres.
the water, is that a part of the watershed? Or just
It's
in within the
I
county?
was not able to get to those meetings, but it's a part, some way of the watershed. It's in the county. The county judge has some say, and you have some say, and the older ones got some say.
So let me say this, because you raised an important issue about drainage, and that has come up. And that's something I touched on in terms of how we can deal with the short-term issues around flooding, and that's cleaning up the drainage and the filtering to prevent where we are now.
Right.
That's something we can look at, and we can definitely see how those dollars are being spent and what has been done, what hasn't been done for it. The other thing though, since this came up, that I want to say is that as we wait, and we are an integral part of this current design phase, and then the next will be the construction phase for the USDA dollars from NRCS, I think, division of USDA, where we got $50 million now for that project. That's a long-term project. So while we wait for that to come to fruition, there are things that we can do and we're committed to do. And I think that having more resources, and I know we can't do everything, because while this is a lot of money, we're talking about doing a lot of things. We can still pay some resources on top of what you just mentioned, Mrs. Mays, to address what we can when it comes to our drainage system. And go ahead.
And I want to ask, do the city of Pine Bluff have a grant writer?
Yes, yes.
Well, I mean, where did it be at?
Oh, we've got grants.
Actually good.
We have, we've brought in just this year over $1 million in grants, and that's on new grants, and that's on top of assisting, for example, the police department with Department of Justice grants. This is the first year, going back to the budget, that we have to find dollars for that position, because that came from the 2017 sales tax previously. So while we have the decline, we, you know, in our tax base, and this tight budget that you just asked me about, that was your first question, we have to find the money. And people think that when we're finding money for a position, or we're funding a position, or even losing a position, it's not just if that's a position that pays $40,000. It's not just that 40, it's the pension, it's the insurance, like it's the whole benefits package. And then when you start talking about police and fire, now you're talking about equipment and vehicles. So all that to say, we are working on that, we're thinking about that, we've made progress, and one of the things that we have set out to do when it comes to our grant writer and that division of the executive office, my office, is to make sure that as we write grants to include indirect costs, so we can begin to fund our grants division, have more than one position, and not have to pull that money out of the general fund and out of our budget. But if we could, if Mr. Proctor and I can get with you, Mrs. Mays, about that fund, because we talked about it before.
Oh, yeah.
But my staff is here, we'll share that, and we will work on this to get more information and get back with you so that we can work. Because one thing I know is if you have Ms. Mays at the table, and especially she and Mr. Mays, some stuff gonna get done. Okay.
In case you all, We don't have favoritism or nothing, but our aldermans, they know us. The mayors know us. And I can give you a little bit. Over on Ohio Street, that's our project. From Sheldon Ross down to Hart. Over here on 6th Street, from Carmart, all the way down, around, that's,
All the way down to Oakwood.
it's going all the way around to 13th. And I would say this reason I asked about a grant writer. Because for sure, when she said you need to step up and do a little sweat, you elect these people. Go out and find just one project. Not for you, but for the benefit of Pine Bluff and your community.
Amen.
And then go to the grant writer. But you do your research. It's out there. The money is there. So go for it, because we almost have gotten $20 million.
Amen.
No cost to the city of Pine Bluff and no cost to the citizens.
That's good.
So, but you got to have someone, Alderman Mays, and when she was state representative, we reached out.
They didn't reach out, they voluntold me. That money, yes it was, but I was glad to do it.
Online question wants to know, what about the people that live in the county? They live in the county but shop in the city, and the county roads are horrible.
So, yes, sir. Okay. So, this would be a city tax, but it would be a sales tax. And the thing that's beneficial about the sales tax is you do generate income for things that are taxable and that are purchased in the city boundaries, so that money stays with you. So places, I'm gonna give you an example, like Las Vegas. That's a place, New York, huge tourism revenue. Places like that, states like Florida, where they can afford to have no, or Texas, no income tax, because they rely on tourists to come in and help generate revenue for the cities in that state and for the state. We would not be different in that regard. So, the same way that people come and benefit by shopping in a place like Pine Bluff, because there are stores and resources that are available here that might not be available out in the county or in other parts of the state, whether it's through events or the things you shop for, so it's a give and take. So the benefit to tourists is they get to enjoy their life out in the country or live in another city, but come here, have a good time, spend their money, and then go home. And the people here, we're charged with not only taking care of our city, but just like Mrs. May says, we got to show up and take care of each other. So, to answer the question, the benefit is the more we grow this city, the safer it is, the cleaner it is, the more businesses that come in, that's more places to eat, have a good time, shop and get the things you need, or enjoy the parks, enjoy the aquatic center, and you're not necessarily a resident, but you can come enjoy those benefits and resources. And so, I look at that as an everybody wins scenario. So, one last. You get the last word.
I appreciate you having the town hall meeting, and I appreciate that there are other neighborhood watch groups that are active.
Yes.
We are active in our Central Park neighborhood watch, and our aldermen is usually at our meeting, and our police officer is there to give the stats every month. We have had the same concern that many of our neighbors don't attend. So when I hear them complaining about things, I was like, you know, we talked about that in the meeting, and you weren't there. So if you are not there for your voice to be heard, how can we expect our mayor to do her job if we're not doing our job? That includes showing up, participating, putting in the sweat equity, reporting where services are not being taken care of to the people who provide those services. And when we do that, our city wins.
Well said, thank you so much. And as I mentioned earlier,
Got one more thing.
one more question.
You
Okay,
answered.
I'll take one more question.
Well, actually, two.
Do,
So Deborah says to you, she said, you are so right, Miss Lady. Harbor drainage needs to be updated and audited. Too much flooding and flooding is the issue. And then Lisa says, what about the drainage on Hazel Street that floods all the time?
The drainage, there are a lot of areas where there's significant drainage, and when USDA through ABMA came to the city and held city council meetings when they were in the planning phase for this USDA funded watershed project, there were a lot of people that came out and told their stories. They collected information to determine how the money would be spent, and what areas and what part of our drainage system would benefit. And at first it didn't include the drainage system. At first this grant really was $30 million that would come to Pine Bluff. And they worked to get additional funding to make it a $50 million project and include what would have been upgrades and repairs that the city would have had to pay for. So now we're getting an additional $20 million so that we can address what will ultimately be about 50 to 60% of our flooding issues within the watershed. And that will be a huge boost and lift to our city. And I'll say this too, the more if we get this measure on the ballot and pass it out, and we make improvements to our infrastructure, and do all the things that we're talking about doing, and really uplift the city in a way that we at least stop the bleeding, if not actually start seeing people move here, then what we're doing is strengthening our city so that and within that time we will be out of our short-term debt. We will have paid into more of our long-term debt to pay that off. We will have addressed the deferred maintenance that has gone on really for decades, whether you're talking about our sidewalks, whether you're talking about our hardscapes, our landscaping, just upgrading the buildings, code enforcement being able to fully address all of the issues that they don't have the capacity to address now. Like the bottom line is, just like when you pay off your car, once your car is paid off and is working, you can spend that money you were spending on fixing your car and paying your car note on some other stuff.
Right.
So think of it like that. Like, what we want to do is fix up our house, increase the value of our house. That's going to make people want to move in the house and move next door to the house. And once we've done that and then we paid off the house, we can spend it on some other stuff, right? So that is the basic crux of what we're trying to do. And with that, I will ask Councilmember Mays to say a few words. And thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Well, this is my ward. Welcome to the fourth ward. UAPB, Galloway, Pinecrest, Cottonwood, and the Loop area, Northwest Pine Bluff. And I just want to thank you all for coming to the fourth ward. If y'all need anything, let me know. Mayor, thank you. Come to the fourth ward. Again.
I'm always in the fourth ward, you know that.
I know. But thank you anyway for being here.
Absolutely.
15 years on the city council, and I'm not tired. This is the dream of mine when I was a little shorty. I grew up in the fourth ward, still here. And I saw, at that time, everybody was just talking. I was a little shorty. Now I'm the alderman, senior alderman. You know, really, look at God. You say this here, no taxes. I am not for any more taxes. I think we need to do better than what we have and look at what we need. We need a forensic audit. I was looking at doing 2 years. I was looking at doing 4 years. It's a lot of money that we have that's not being accounted for, and it's forensic audit. I mean, we are right out here. The streets are not as bad over in the fourth ward as they were when I first came. I had Chief Howell, Sean Howell, the ex-fire chief, to blow the drains out with them fire trucks. It would be worse than that if I didn't do that when I first came in. It was terrible. And now they don't flood like it used to over in the fourth ward in the city of Pine Bluff. Because it was going like it was going, if they would have stopped, if I would have stopped and wouldn't mention to Fire Chief Sean Howell at that time to get them fire trucks, and some of those firemen, they went down there and blew it out. I mean, it was a half a block and a half of dirt up under the ground that them boys in Whitehall put up under the ground. Over here, they do a lot of stuff in Pine Bluff y'all don't even know. And y'all need to wake up. All y'all older, wake up. Let's see what they're doing.
I'm not older.
It's all good, but I'm just saying, what they're doing over here, they don't want us to grow, but we couldn't even drain up underground. When I first came in the office, I studied it, and I said, man, why is water flooding so much? It doesn't flood like it used to. Y'all need to get stuck. Learn your surroundings. Look down, start from the ground and work your way up. The flooding was terrible. And it was a dirt this hard, up under the ground. And they wanted to get...
What do you mean under the ground?
Well, this was up under the drainage. Yeah. It was dirt.
Okay, in the pipes.
Dumped in the pipes.
Dumped
That's
in
a good
the pipes.
question. But they didn't know how to see that. And I asked Chief Howell and the fire department, take some trucks, or when we found out what it was, why this water still stopping up and flooding like it? You know? And that's one of the first things I got done when I was on the city council. It took a while to get them all interested in what I was doing because they couldn't see it. You can't see up on the ground standing right here. But their aim was to stop it up. All that flooding, you saw the flooding that went down around here now?
No.
It's down. If it is, let them know.
It's down.
It's down. It's down. I know it's down because I had to go. That dirt was like this here.
It's gonna come back. The rate's gonna...
Well, if we don't keep it clean.
Well, and let's say this, and thank you so much.
Yeah, let me finish.
I would like for you to...
Let me finish. And once again, I'm totally against that tax. We got money out here that we need to have accounted for.
Are you saying you're against...
I'm against it. Totally. It came out to change my mind for
But
me.
my position is, we ask them to do the job. We hold them accountable for doing the job. And I really, you know, I love me some Alderman Mayor.
Thank you.
And so does my auntie way over in Ward 1, okay? That's, he got whatever, he gets a call. But we cannot tie their hands. I mean, if they need the money, they need the money.
It's a lot of money.
Hold on, let her finish, please.
Yeah.
Please let her finish.
I really, every time I've studied and been, I'm from the country. So I was going 33 years and I came back into the city and had to make it back to the country.
Yes, ma'am.
And then my sister was with the UPS, 36 years in the hospital. And so I moved in her district and I got called to help with me watch. So I've just studied the city since, August of 2017. Right, 2017. So I've stood and learning and learning. I really expected from, do you know Mr. Tate? Mr. Tate and Sheridan Park. Yeah, he would, I expected him to pass away. I expected him to take over. But I'm always
John T.
to tie the hands in terms of, we have people that 3 or 4 phones and cards and $200 shoes and if they ask for the money, I heard you talk before, but I'm really concerned about us tying their hand when it comes to one cent tax or we make the period 10 years. But I know you've got more experience in this. You've lived in the city all your life. But I just want to put that out there.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
I'm still voting against it.
So let me say this. Thank you so much, Ms. Barber. Let me say this. I've served in the legislature for 10 years. I've been in the role as your mayor for less than 1. And what I know for sure.
But you were over at the state representative.
State reps, yes.
Yeah, over.
So, right, and so, I say that to say, I'm not new to this, I've had experience, but it was in a different category, it was a different level of government. Since I have been here, I have done my due diligence. You've seen the list, and that is not an exhaustive list. We manage day to day, and with all due respect to Councilmember Mays and the rest of the City Council, they represent the interests of the wards. And so to say that the drainage is better in the city, it is not. It may be better in the 4th ward. It is horrible in other parts of the city. And it is my job to address the day-to-day workings of this city to make sure we function, we provide city services, we protect the city. And when we have needs for the whole city, you have not heard me talk about one ward. It is my job to talk about how we develop, grow, strengthen, protect all wards, all students, all young people, all adults, all residents, all tourists. I have to think about all of that. And so it's very easy for any of us, including members on the council, to be comfortable in their homes, where their kids or grandkids might be safe or have jobs here or elsewhere. When the kids here, the adults here, the homeowners here, the residents here, the people who visit, see the issues every day that you talk about, that you post about, that you deal with, that you pay for. We either gonna pay because we don't do it, or we're gonna pay with a plan and invest in our city. Again, that's the bottom line. This is not for me, nobody's hurting me, but we can all help each other if we work together. This cannot be about being against any one thing or a tax. We have to support solutions. You cannot expect to eat and not buy the food.
Amen.
Take money to make money.
Take money to make money, yes, sir.
I got a business. Take money to make money.
I want to thank all of you so much. This will not be the end of the conversation. There will be a public hearing for a special call meeting Monday after next in the City Council chambers. So December 1st will be a regular meeting. And that's where the ordinances will be read for the first time. The following Monday will be a call meeting where it will be read the second time, but we will hear from people who want to come and ask questions in that official setting.
This is City Council.
City Council chambers. In that official setting to ask questions and to make your concerns or your position known one way or the other. And again, I'm going to do everything I can to help ensure that the measure gets on the ballot, because I can tell you there are City Council members who support it. They need to hear from you. Yes, Ms. Mays.
Well, what about this forensic audit?
Oh, thank you. Yes. So the forensic audit that we are having done right now, we have selected a firm. The city council just gave me authority to enter into a contract with the firm we selected, and that will start ASAP, as soon as we meet. And we can expect for it to start at the end of this year, beginning of next year. That is happening. That will cover the last 2 years of city government in all of the 17 of the departments, as well as the mayor's office for the last 2 years, 23 and 24, and it will cover all 7 years of the 2017 sales and use tax. And so what we're saying is we will take a look back, and then I'm gonna call it into existence when we pass this measure to revitalize our city. When we do that, controls and accountability will be built into the legislation requiring a forensic audit every 2 years, in addition to the forensic audit that we funded through carryover funds from last year, and that we have just passed a measure to go into a contract with the selected firm. So thank you so much, Ms.
How long before it go public?
As soon as the information is given to me, it will be public. It's not hiding nothing.
Don't keep it
That is,
I think, you know, you need something, the money's been disappeared.
but let me say this, because the only reason I don't want to harp on that is because we're doing something about looking at how we did in the past, not only the past tax, but how we are spending money in this city. And it's not to gotcha anybody.
Oh, no.
It is to see what kinds of changes do we need to make procedurally to handle the city's money better as we move ahead toward progress. That's the bottom line. So we're taking our look back, and then we are also going to integrate transparency and accountability in everything we do. And we're making our way because we have to produce and share the information at the right time, particularly when it comes to law enforcement. But any forensic audit, once it is completed, will be shared with the public, period. Okay, thank you all so much. Thank you, good night. Thank you for sticking it out.